It's all my fault. I can't save everyone.
Hello friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. The day is upon us. Spider-Man No Way Home has finally arrived. We finally get to see it. We finally get to talk all the spoilers. This is going to be so much fun. I thought about doing a spoiler-free review, and then I thought, fuck it. No, I don't want to do a spoiler-free review. I want to talk all the goods. So, warning, spoilers all day with the rest of this review. Got it? If you could, please, oh God, please, just hit that little thumbs up like button, okay? It's threatening my family. Help. All joking aside, let's dive right into my spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, so if you saw my first reaction, I kind of had a little mixed feeling about it, but I've had about 24 hours to sit and stew and marinate and all the thoughts, and I think I've come to a pretty fair conclusion of where I sit when it comes to this movie. So let's immediately dive into what I like about this film. From the middle of the second act on, yeah, that's pretty much perfection. This movie gave me everything that I wanted, everything I had hoped for. You get Tobey Maguire, you got Andrew Garfield, you got Tom Holland, all doing the things and the stuff with each other. And it was so magical, even though, like, we all knew they were coming. But, like, when you see them interacting with each other, you're just like, yes! And then how they were fighting the villains, how they worked as a team, and how they had to come to the conclusion that, like, oh, yeah, we don't really work well with others because we're usually solo. Like, all these moments were a lot of fun. And they even did, like, the Spidey meme thing, you know, with the three Spider-Man pointing at each other. Yeah, they totally did it, and that was on my wish list. Now, they did it a little differently. They weren't wearing the spider suits when they were doing it. They were wearing all their lab coats and doing all the sciencey stuff. But even that in itself, we got to see them work as scientists together. And then Andrew and Tobey, like, they're like total BFFs. It's so awesome. Like, because, you know, there's a little animosity, I think, that they're, you know, Tobey Maguire, he felt a little miffed when they just suddenly rebooted, you know, the franchise, which I think still to this day is like the quickest turnaround for a reboot ever. I know that Sony had the little sneaky plan just in case 4 didn't work out. They are already planning a reboot. Must have learned that from Warner Brothers. But watching them, like, eventually just become like brothers in this movie, like, they were great, absolutely awesome. But even more specifically, Andrew Garfield. He was my favorite Spider-Man to watch in this movie. Number one, I might be a little biased because The Amazing Spider-Man, like, is my favorite Spider-Man movie even after this one. Yeah, I said it. But, like, he brought all the feels, all the emotions. He had a redemption story, and he set up something, man. Like, he said something in this movie that makes me want to see a new movie with him in it. He was talking about he's been kind of doing this vigilante sort of, like, Batman brooding sort of thing. Like, he's been living in a very dark world, and we haven't seen that, and that's where he's at currently when he's in No Way Home. I want to see that. So, hashtag Amazing Spider-Man 3. Sony, make it. Please? Thanks. One thing I learned right in the middle of the third act, the MCU Spidey, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, is the strange variant of the Spider-Man multiverse. He's the oddball out. He's the one that doesn't follow the classic storyline. And that's a very interesting way to look at this. His parallels are the same, but in a very different way. Aunt May took the Uncle Ben role. She said the line, "With great power comes great responsibility." That was her purpose. She died because of something that he did, just like Uncle Ben. That's his variant, like, acuity. Even when Tom Holland's Spider-Man becomes a little asshole and he's like, "Well, that's not my problem. Send them back to their own universe so they can get killed." Yeah, he looks like a little prick, but this is his version of what all the other Spider-Men did in their worlds. When Tobey Maguire didn't stop the guy from stealing the money after the wrestling match, or when Andrew Garfield didn't stop the guy from robbing the convenience store. They both said, "It's not my problem." This movie was his version of that, but I really enjoyed that aspect. And once I clicked into the know of, okay, Tom Holland is the odd man out here. Those other two are like, Like, there's probably hundreds more just like them. But, like, this one is the weird variant. And by the end of this movie, we get back to the Spidey basics. We get back to pretty much what is going to be the MCU's version of the previous two iterations of Spider-Man that we've gotten. Being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and not really doing the whole Avengers thing. This Spidey never had time to grow. He never had time to make a mistake and learn from it. He's honed a lot of his physical skills, but now it's time for him to grow inside. And that's a great aspect. The villains in this movie were in it for a really long time, which is good. That's a good thing. They showed up about the second act, somewhere around there. And they, like, I thought they were just going to show up and, like, yeah, fuck you, Spidey, you know, like, try to fight. Which Doc Ock, I think, was the only one who actually showed up to do that. Well, Green Goblin, too, but he was a little wishy-washy. You know how he is, you know, little split personalities and all that. But once they trapped him in their little weird Doctor Strange cage, like, it was a lot more interaction, exchange going on between everybody more than I ever imagined would actually happen. And because I didn't expect it, that's what made me love it. Because one thing in going into this movie that I really wanted was things to happen that I didn't expect to happen. There was enough there of new things, I say new, of things I didn't expect that, you know, it still felt original to me. But these villains are just absolutely great. Of course, William Dafoe as Green Goblin. Not only does he do great, you know, he's doing his William Dafoe thing, you know, that creepy smile that he does, but, like, this is the best looking Green Goblin we've ever gotten. Yeah, he shows up in that Spidey 1 costume, which I fucking hate. I hate that costume because he looks like he bought it from an actual costume store. And then, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Harry Osborn looked like, I don't know, like, he looked like a loogie. Like, he just looked gross. Like, you touch him, he's sticky. You're just like, ew. But this Green Goblin looked good, man. Give him a badass armor, some tattered sheets to wrap around his body. Boom. And a little hood, you're good. That's all you need. Great. Good job. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. Great. He did a wonderful performance. He was a lot of fun. And I called it. If you watch the Drive-By News, I called it multiple times that he was not going to be a villain. Even though they portrayed him as a villain in the trailers.
Hello, Peter.
And he was when he first showed up. I said, no. He had a change of heart right before he died. That change of heart is still there. And, you know, and Sandman falls along in the same lines here as well. He actually shows up in this movie as protecting Peter Parker. Or Spider-Man, rather. Sandman is such a cool character to watch. But other than his visuals, he was kind of benched in this movie. Like, I don't know. His character was kind of pointless. So was the Lizard. Yeah, Lizard was kind of pointless too. They were just there. They didn't really help with anything. I mean, you could have gotten rid of the Lizard and Spider-Man. Oh, not Spider-Man. No, not Spider-Man. Sandman. And the movie probably would have been about the same. So there's that. But it was cool to see him, so no harm, no foul. But my favorite, Electro. Now, I was super pissed when they showed Electro in the trailer and he looked completely different. Why? Because I hate costume changes. Even more so, I hate unexplained costume changes. But his entire look change and his costume change.
You're not gonna take this away from me.
But guess what? Both are completely explained in the movie. That's all I want. I'm easy to please. And they did it. So thank you very much for that. This movie is a lot of fun. Its entertainment value is through the roof. Absolutely. It's a film that won't disappoint. But here's some things that I'm on the fence about. And they're kind of big deals. The story. This entire movie is written pretty much to be a soft reboot for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And it's poorly done so. Everything that happens, plot point-wise, is out of convenience. Well, not everything, but a lot of things. It's just convenient plot points. Decisions made by certain characters in this movie don't make sense for that character. Prime example, Doctor Strange. Why would Doctor Strange do the spell when he knows that it could potentially ruin the universe? He knows this.
We started getting some visitors.
I was talking to Ramon from Hit or Miss TV, and Ramon reminded me that in Infinity War, Doctor Strange said he will protect the Time Stone no matter what it costs. You know, if it costs the lives of any of the Avengers or what have you. I can't quite remember the quote exactly. Where was that integrity here? Peter Parker. Yes, I know you want to save the villains, but do you really think bringing him back to Happy Hogan's house with Aunt May is the smartest decision? No, that's not a smart decision. That's a very dumb decision. Now, I understand this is part of your mistake, part of your learning process, but it's a little too much suspension of disbelief when it comes to the fact that this character would make these sort of decisions. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. We're just supposed to believe it so we can just move on with the story and just get it out there and move forward. It's all around lazy, to be honest, but it's wrapped up in super fun, exciting, entertaining skin. The first act into half of the second act was boring to me. Now, maybe it won't be so much on my second watch. I feel like this might be one of those movies where you have to rewatch it, and I do think its rewatchability will be pretty good. But I won't know until I rewatch it, right? But yeah, it was boring. Like, there was no heaviness with the whole controversy of everybody knowing Peter Parker's identity. Like, I didn't feel that bad for him, to be honest with you. It's like, oh no, people know your identity. Like, okay. And then, like, everyone was calling him a murderer. I thought that was going to be the whole theme of the movie, but it wasn't. It was just that little beginning part. Then Matt Murdock shows up, and it's kind of like, okay, well, that's done. And by the way, Matt Murdock's cameo was lame. It really was. Like, okay, well, he's in the MCU. All right, see you later. Although he did have a fun bit when he caught the brick. How did you do that? I'm a really good lawyer. Okay, that was pretty good. But other than that, boring cameo. Moving on. And for the most part, a lot of the jokes in this movie, besides that Matt Murdock one and a few others, just didn't land for me. Like, they weren't as funny as they wanted it to be, I think, at least for me. And I noticed that the crowd wasn't laughing too hard either. A couple of chuckles, that's about it. And a sneeze, I think. I think someone sneezed. And one more thing I'm on the fence about, and this was almost a negative. I'm just going to say it. Spidey's new suit at the movie, the tease of his new suit, because we didn't quite get a great look at it, but he has a new suit at the end of this movie. And it's the MCU's version of the classic suit. Listen, can we just get past the classic suit? I was so proud of the MCU not going the classic suit route. You know, I love Tom Holland's suits. You know, it was fun to get him out of that normal suit. But the reason why I'm on the fence about it now is because, well, since this is kind of a soft reboot, I guess it makes sense. Like, the more I think about it, the less pissed off I am. I think it's more PTSD of when they changed Andrew Garfield from that rubberized suit to the classic Spidey suit. I think that's triggering me now because that rubberized suit from the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is still my favorite suit. Oh my God, I love that suit. And then they changed it, and like I said earlier, unexplained suit changes really pissed me off. So, like, I just think maybe they're just doing it because, hey, classic Spidey, come buy tickets. But this one, I guess, makes a little bit more sense. I had to come to Jesus with that one. So, we'll see. I'm still being a grumpy old man about it, but... Moving right along with what I don't like about this movie. The entire nobody remembers Peter concept. Okay, if you sit and think about this for a minute, everybody remembers Spider-Man, but nobody remembers Peter Parker. Once you start thinking about that, your head will fucking explode. All the times that he had his mask off, what in their heads do they see? Is that just all blipped out? Did Doctor Strange just blip everybody's memory? Holy shit. Doctor Strange just pulled a Thanos. Well, I guess when a good guy does it, it's fine. Wrapping my head around that was very hard to do. I can't wrap my head around it. It just doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be that hard to remind the people that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, because they do know Spider-Man, right? They all remember Spider-Man. So all you have to do now is show up in the Spidey suit, take off the mask, and be like, hey, by the way, I'm Peter Parker. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So much suspension of disbelief here. I kind of get the concept, though. I get the concept at the end of the film when he shows up to MJ, which I totally thought she was going to kiss Ned, by the way. Totally thought that. And he has that letter for her, and he's going to pour his heart out. You know, I thought that moment was poetic when she had the bandage on her head, and she goes, it doesn't hurt that much anymore. Like, that was a very poetic line. But is that enough? Is that enough to keep MJ and Peter Parker away from each other? I don't know. I guess it leaves a good enough question mark, you know, to see where they go from here. But again, this whole soft reboot concept is freaking me out. Like, it's so lazy. It's like, okay, we gave you the Avengers Spider-Man. Now we're going to gently reboot him so we can give you the Spider-Man that he should have been before he was forced into the MCU. They did the Spider-Man storyline backwards. Doctor Strange got beat by Spider-Man in the mirror realm because of math or something. Really? Really? It's Doctor Strange and he got punked by a kid. Again, lazy writing, convenient plot devices. That's all this is. Also, by the way, here's something that really bothered me. The villains show up, like, immediately, like, and find Spider-Man. What the fuck were Toby and Andrew doing this entire time they were moved over into this universe? You know, when Ned's doing the little Doctor Strange thing and Andrew Garfield's, like, hanging out by a dumpster or something and Tobey Maguire's just walking the streets. Like, what are they doing? I know they're out, like, looking for the villains. That's what they said, but, like, to me, it wasn't the best way to bring them in. It was a nice surprise to bring them in, like, through the Doctor Strange magic, but, like, it just made me question what the fuck were they doing this entire time, and it bugs the hell out of me. Now, another thing that I don't like, and this isn't really about the movie. Maybe, this is more of a petty point, honestly. Can we make it illegal for movies to lie in trailers of what happens in movies? That's so fucking stupid. The whole setup with Doctor Strange where they made him look like almost like he was an evil variant of, oh no, that's not the real Doctor Strange. Oh no, the real Doctor Strange is trying to save the multiverse. This is a different Doctor Strange. Like that one part in the trailer where Wong says, whatever you do, don't cast that spell. Then Doctor Strange says, okay, and looks at Peter Parker and gives him a little wink. Totally doesn't happen in this fucking movie. Not at all. That was a complete misdirect. That should be fucking illegal. Sorry, that was a petty point. Let's get back to the review. The last thing I'm going to put on my what I don't like list is the mid-credit scene with Venom. It was really cool to see him, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, he's in the universe. He's in the universe. Fuck yeah. Only to immediately disappear and just leave some like Venom splooge behind. Like that was the whole purpose of them being there. So just a little bit of Venom stuff can just be there and go find Peter Parker. Again, the MCU's, I know what they're going to do. They're going to go back to the very classic comic book storyline here. That Venom symbiote is going to find this universe's Eddie Brock and attach to him, and we're going to get that perfect comic book adaptation of that story. But I just thought that was a very weak and lazy way to do that. Not a fan of it. I would have rather just had that Eddie Brock and that Venom exist. So, there you go. Overall, this is a very entertaining movie, and I think its rewatchability will be great. And I think that because I already want to see it again. The fan service, the redemption stories, the nostalgia, all of this makes this movie very lovable. But that all came at a cost of a very poorly written script. Yeah, poorly written script, convenient plot devices, and out-of-character decisions, just to get the story moving forward. The entertainment, the fun, the heart of this movie is an A+ to me. If I step back out of that and critique this movie as, like, you know, an actual film, I can give it a solid B-.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
I almost went C+, but I really did have a good time with this movie. Just the things I didn't like, just were really big things I didn't like. There you have it, guys. My spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Let me know what you thought of this movie in the comments below. Are you just on board with it? This is an A+ movie. I don't care what you think, Steve. Go fuck yourself. You know, is that what you're thinking right now? Or do you agree with me? There were some huge issues with this movie, but like, as I said, it was just wrapped in very entertaining skin. So like, it's hard to pierce through that entertaining skin and actually pick it apart and go, okay, you know what? This was kind of shitty. This was kind of shitty. So maybe you agree with me. Maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos. And as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
What's happening?
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.